Hello and welcome everyone back to the Overwatch Eurocup fundraiser. I'm 3.007 and I'm joined once again by Sir Waltham.
Hello, 3-Point. Good to be back after yesterday's games. I'm definitely excited to be hopping right back into some action.
So this is going to be a pretty fun game. Yeah, we have a wonderful matchup today. As always, though, before we get started, we'd like to remind everyone that there's a lovely little Twitch chat link going on. Zandy going to be dropping some hot links to the merchandise store so you can support your favorite team. Also, of course, if you're liking what you're seeing from the Monkey Bubble channel, don't forget to grab a follow and maybe even a subscribe if you're feeling plucky. Also, we possibly will have other language streams in your preferred language. Don't be afraid to check those links as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be very excited to see that going on. Help grow the Eurocup community, be a little bit bilingual, multilingual, polylingual, I suppose. But yeah, definitely excited to see those going on. Now, Threep, as I understand, we are seeing Austria versus Greece today, correct?
So it is actually going to be a little bit of a lineup change. It's going to be Bulgaria and South Africa, and a little bit of a, we like to keep things hot and fresh here, so we're making sure that we're keeping everyone on their toes. So yeah, Bulgaria v South Africa. So South Africa going to be on the right in the red with Bulgaria on the left in blue. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna it's pretty nice to see those teams hopping in here. As usual, always got to keep us on our toes. They always like making the casters look a little bit silly, so I'll take that. At least I'm not getting debated at the start of every round with team compositions. Not calling anybody out here, but it
I can
happens.
call myself out just fine. Thank you very much. But yes, so it is going to be the South Africa versus Bulgaria. And looking at these lineups today, I have a feeling we're in for quite a tasty matchup. It's how do I say this? These are teams with players that are very skilled, and frankly, as we get started here on Nepal, they might have a chance to strut just about all of their stuff. Now, I haven't seen a match played on Nepal in a while, and definitely not in the most recent patch. So I'm very curious to see what the teams are going to be bringing out first.
Yeah, absolutely. Three. We've been watching a lot of gameplay lately, and I think we've been seeing quite a bit of Pharah, but I don't know if Nepal is necessarily conducive to that. In Sanctum, you have those very confined skyboxes. You have very gazebo-esque style architecture. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to run. But that being said, who knows? This is kind of a new meta we're stepping into, so we might be seeing anything come out of the lineup here.
100% fair. And yeah, this anything might just honestly be possible. Nepal's not necessarily a map, again, where you would expect to lock in any particular hero, except maybe, of course, Sigma, though it traditionally has been a map where you run a lot of Mei. Now, Mei has kind of fallen to the wayside in favor of maybe some Symmetra, also some of that Pharah, and of course Doomfist. But especially on that middle map, that village, I think Mei might still be a solid pick.
Yeah, I mean, May in recent times has been just predominant as ever, but I think that we're just going to kind of have to see how the teams run here. There's something to be said about the meta, and then there's something to be said about player comfortability. Sometimes you might have the best players in a country, but they may only be comfortable on certain team or on certain characters. Rather, it might not necessarily, pan out that they're just playing the meta.
Pretty true. The meta itself being what it is, you don't necessarily have to follow it. We've seen a lot of teams buck tradition, so to speak, and kind of run what they please, especially if that's what they're most comfortable with. Now, in this particular patch and the future of Overwatch, really, we are at the very least going to be locked into a 2-2-2. So, with that regard, the I guess the fun of it is as long as you are in with that 2-2-2, you can pretty much run whatever the heck you dang well please. Now, the problem is you're probably going to be running into double barriers, so I hope your team comp includes some way to get around to that. It might not even involve a break. Well, we've seen Pharah, again, just be very proficient finding those angles around those barriers as if they weren't even there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely definitely a very navigatable area for the Pharah. So definitely going to be excited to see these teams pop right on into it. We are just waiting for the teams to get the ready going before we actually hop into the game. But in the meantime, I want to go over a little bit about the records so far for these teams. If I have my information up to date, we are seeing Bulgaria with the one win and South Africa with the one loss. You think that at a glance that has to kind of give them a little bit of a statistical advantage?
Yeah, so anything can happen on a particular map. Maybe they just had a particularly strange game or whatever. Maybe they got faced up against someone in their group that was particularly tenacious and they just had their number, so to speak. But in any event, we are going to be seeing a situation where maybe this team has a little bit of a redemption arc. Again, we've seen teams bounce back before. There's no guarantee that it's going to be just a simple 4-0, but who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Bulgaria got the 3-1 against Portugal, who last time, if I remember correctly, played against Kuwait, not necessarily having the most flawless of runs, but we'll just have to see how it comes down to this game here today. Anything can happen. And in fact, it looks like when we say anything can happen, we mean double barriers can happen.
Double barriers can definitely happen. And there it is. We're not even on the particular map that I was referring to, but it looks like May might be a choice that is going to be coming out. Now, Bulgaria defaulting to the May Reaper, interesting, which is going to be a troublesome matchup if 20 is as proficient on that McCree as I think they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Vega really gonna have to kind of keep eyes out, just make sure that they don't get too ahead of themselves. You don't want to get hit by that flashbang, get caught out, especially you get flashbanged, you can get frozen. It really just kind of brings the house of bricks down upon you if you set it up that way.
Speaking of a house of bricks, thanks to Squishy's Lucio taking the direct route to the point, South Africa sets up immediately. Squishy finds Boger right off the bat. That's a main tank down for Bulgaria, and that's going to be difficult, make it very difficult for them to hold this point, especially having just lost their Reaper.
Played here so often, and that's pretty much fundamental play as you like to see.
Yeah, Squishy making good use of that little speed boost there. Lucio, in recent times, has not seen the pick rate that he probably is used to, but what we can confirm is that Moira is the de facto main healer of choice for a lot of teams, not willing to run the Ana into that mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to be seeing the combos try to be set up with the Orisa and the Sigma, the halt with the giant rock being thrown in, trying to get some combos. Not going to quite work out, though.
A fantastic point-blank play by Boger, who after Buck makes the freeze happen, just run right in there with that Orisa cannon right into Sigma's face. Sentinel goes down, and now it's a coalescence on the field from Visions, though that seems like they're tossing an ult into a lost fight, and indeed, once Squishy gets taken care of, that's going to be a flip.
Yeah, you may want to have kept that coalescence unless you're looking to switch off the Moira. It does look like Visions is going to be, but especially since you're going to be running into a May Blizzard, you want to keep up your support ultimates as much as possible. Squishy going to really have to work to keep the sound barrier before that Blizzard happens. Looks like they might play it a bit slower to try to build those ults up.
Coaxing the ultimates out from the defending team is going to be crucial, and a high noon might be just the way to do it, but instead it looks like it's just going to be resulting in nothing more than a reload as Vegas sets up on the top side, possibly taking advantage of a little Reaper flank. Yes, it's true. There, after the May ult comes in, Z-Horse throws out the coalescence of their own, and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That is a lot of kills for the Moira from Bulgaria.
Yeah, Bulgarian team looking very good right now. They did commit a few ultimates there. They committed the Coalescence, the Blizzard, the Battle Bongo, as I like to call it. And right now, it's still not looking like a huge bank of ultimates for the side of South Africa. They have a few. They're going to have that sound barrier finally built up. They're going to have that Blizzard, and they might be using this Blizzard to try to initiate on point. But really, there's just so much ability to mitigate that damage and avoid that damage with the May, with all the different abilities, that it might not get much.
Yeah, and now we see that after 20 finds Buck and a big Sigma ult now going in, though. Is that going to result in any kills? It looks like not, and instead we're going to see Leica Luke's own Blizzard come out on the field. Vega's going to do their best to try and negate that a bit, but the Death Blossom doesn't get any kills whatsoever. They're in full retreat as a Coalescence also comes out from Visions. There it is. Sentinel is finally... Buck switching over to the Doomfist. That's going to be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, Doomfist can be one of those characters who can be such a thorn in your side if you have a player playing them proficiently. And Buck's trying to cause a little bit of havoc, but not quite getting the kills you really needed to there. You can see Buck only at about 40% ult charge, means that not a huge amount of damage was quite done. And while we're on the subject of ult charge, only one on the field to start going to be Shapeshifter. And really, that Orisa Bongo, if you can use it after the commitment of a fight, can be a game changer, especially if you're 1 or 2 man up already.
Speaking of 1 or 2 men up, South Africa staying in that fight just long enough is really a solid example of how you make sure you have to eliminate every member of a team before they are truly bereft from the point. Now Buck goes diving into the backline, but it's Bongo's time. No kills yet, though, which is surprising, except up there it is. So Boger finally goes down thanks to some help from a May. Once again, the Z-Horse coalescence comes out into a fight that may not necessarily get to see good use of it.
Yeah, even worse, the Horse gets hit by that rock, the accretion from the Sigma, stopping that coalescence in its tracks. 20 getting blocked by that shield from the Sigma. Pretty effective use of that Sigma barrier.
Oh, I super love that combination. Boger's Hammond comes rolling in, pounds the ground, sends 20 up in the sky. That leaves Buck in a perfect position to get that seismic slam in, and what a point flip last minute.
Yeah, right now it's really going to be on the side of South Africa to really rush to point if they can even get somebody there to contest. They only have 3 seconds to do it. Ooh, but the Hammond gets knocked back and the Tracer at the last seconds.
Bam, bam, bam. The big blizzard comes in at the last minute from Leica Luke, and the kills now starting to come in for South Africa. Means that this might be a point retake from them in the overtime. As Squishy drops down the big barriers, 20, 20 brings out the Tracer, but they also managed to get away and actually get a kill of their own. Ultimates coming out in force from South Africa. That's a flip. That's overtime. It's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for Bulgaria to come back from this one.
Yoshio on the Lucio did not have the opportunity to touch. They were still up on that high ground. Opted not to go for the point touch. You have to think in that situation, you have no other option. But that's going to be South Africa taking the first point. Man, that was very back and forth, Reap.
Yeah, that was nuts. Real solid play from both sides. I'm glad that they were able to get some excellent use from the ultimates, but I still think that if Bulgaria can just hold on to their ultimates when they might be committing them to a lost fight, I think they'll have a much better shot on the shrine here.
Yeah, that's certainly going to have to be the case here. They're going to want to look to change something up. And it's thinking that may not quite be the composition. Vega Buck going to be sticking on the McCree Doomfist that we saw on the back half. Or rather, I believe it was the Reaper Doomfist, so we will be seeing Vega hop onto that McCree, perhaps to a little bit more effect, although they will be running against a May Widow. So a lot of sightlines going to be kind of restricted here just by the threat and wall coming through from those heroes.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily be running the Widowmaker here. They must be very confident in their ability to get around those barriers. And already, it looks like they're going to be harassed by Buck's Doomfist, very eager to get that particular hero off the map. But while that was happening, Squishy finds the kill onto Lucio, or Yoshio, rather. And now, that is a point take again. South Africa taking advantage of controlling that map and creating their space.
Yeah, absolutely. 20 trying to stay just out of arm's reach, particularly of that Sigma by Fapalel, is going to be trying to just get those sightlines, as we mentioned, down, choke down the Halt's accretion rock coming through, not going to quite land on anything. And right now we're at a little bit of a stall phase, but the team's going to rush on the point for the side of Bulgaria.
And there it is. So Bulgaria makes their statement. They've cut out a little swath of the point there, but it's not really resulting in a lot of good stuff. Shapeshifter does finally go down, but not before Boger and Buck both fall. Now it's even trades, though. Both main tanks from South Africa gone, looking much better for Bulgaria now.
Yeah, Bulgaria going to be rushing the point. That Widow now not having as much presence by 20. We're going to be seeing the May trying to get just a little bit of stall by Leica Luke, but it's going to go into the pit, as you might expect on this map. It's, I believe, the first pit kill of the round. But with that being said, we're going to only be seeing the Nano and potentially a May Blizzard come out to start Vega very close to that high noon as well, to zone out the point just a little bit if, like, Luke does not bring up that wall right in front of their face.
Yeah, again, the May being used to fantastic, fantastic effect. Single cooldown, locking up all that space. That's exactly what you want. But with Bulgaria still in the back in terms of the percentage with a nanoed Buck going into the backline, though, that's actually not going to result in anything. And instead, Fapelele and Buck both go down, despite Leica Luke getting picked off there in the mid-fight. That's going to be a full reset from Bulgaria.
Yeah, and perhaps a little bit of a misplay by Buck to just go ahead and dive into that small corridor against a 5-man. When you don't have line of sight from your healers, you're unable to quite reach your supports. It's going to be a tough spot. You really can't expect to win that kind of situation, but they're just going to go ahead and go for the good old reset. Buck going to have the meteor strike for this next fight, so fortunately, hopefully they'll be able to use it in a more productive fashion than last fight.
And so here we go. The point presence has been taken, but now it's Vega's turn to throw out the high noon. That doesn't result in any kills whatsoever. Now the bongos are on the field. Bongo's been removed from the field. Man, that Buck works fast, or Boga rather. But there's a big Sigma ult coming in. It actually doesn't really grab any major kills, but the follow-up is clutch. Say what you want about South African Bulgaria, but they are brawling it out like their lives depend on it.
Yeah, and South Africa have been playing really well inside these hallways. Every time Buck tries to go in there to get some punish on the South African team, they just keep putting him into the wall. They just pummel him inside that small space. Doomfist sometimes has a difficult time working in those small spaces with his uppercut.
And so there we have it. South Africa pushes it to the 99. Bulgaria has a solid showing in this fight, though. Man, that was one of the closest triple poops I've ever seen, but almost counts only in horseshoes, hand grenades, and apparently the back and forth nature of this fight. Killer boot from Squishy finds Lele off. And, jeez, this is nuts. I still can't tell who's going to win this.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Vega, that tracer on that 20 on that tracer might have gone a completely different way. However, there you have it. Going to be getting the flip onto the side of Bulgaria, meaning that they will be in control. They have a long way to go, though. They got to hold this for about 55 seconds, give or take.
So that is going to be a very difficult hold coming out for Bulgaria, but they have a number of ultimates coming online. Both McCree and Vega Boger going to have their particular ultimates, and not a lot showing except for Visions with the Moira Coalescence. Luke might be able to pull out a Blizzard in the last minute, but starting this fight with Scissors going down is not going to be the way that Bulgaria wanted to start their hold.
Yeah, absolutely. South Africa getting a crucial kill onto the main tank and big healers on the Bulgarian side. It's only looking good for South Africa right now. It looks like they may go 2-1, but Buck trying to do their best to hold point.
Wow, Buck has to use the seismic slam to get up off the point, and that's just enough time for South Africa to retake it. But that retake isn't going to be long-lived as Bulgaria clean up very nicely on the point.
Yeah, so on the plus side, South Africa did prevent Bulgaria from getting a few percentage points. They do keep them within perhaps 2 team fight potential if they are able to take these next few within a decent amount of time. But also, we're seeing quite a few ults come out from the side of South Africa. They're going to have that gravitic flux, and they're going to have the Blizzard. A lot of CC potential here. We can see a possible Sig 9 if we're able to see the point flip over to South Africa to start.
Yeah, South Africa again taking the sneaky route to the point, carving out a little bit of the path there, but Buck again rips into the backline, finds Vision early on, and it is not looking good. Nope, there it is. There's the trade. Healer down, but now it's 20. Vega wins that this town ain't big enough for the two of us duel, but South Africa fight on the point like it's theirs, and they're almost about to take it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Fap illegally going to be barely getting out of the range of that May freeze, and that's going to do a world of wonders to save their team, give them a lot more matrix. And right now, it's not looking good for South Africa.
Rare for a high noon to get a kill, but in the overtime fight, that's not when you want it to happen if you're not taking the point. And Bulgaria, after a big struggle, thanks to a lot of well-placed switches from their teammates, find that and bring it to round 3 of Nepal.
Yeah, it looks like the McCree Doomfist really worked a little bit better there for the side of Bulgaria. I don't know if I necessarily agree with a lot of the angles of attack that Buck took going into the lower area of that sanctum. And not seem to quite work out for them every time. But either way, they're going to be walking away with a 1-1 score spread right now. This map's going to determine who takes Nepal here.
Yeah, so that is actually nuts. Huge matchup. I thought we weren't going to be able to get to this map because of just how dominant South Africa looked in that first go-round. But Bulgaria, like we said, just because they might have had a loss doesn't mean they're not going to come out swinging. So here we go, South Africa again, taking the most direct route to the point, foregoing the high ground entirely. But look at Luke on that Symmetra.
Yeah, the Sim been seeing a lot more play now, especially as the double barriers comes through. That Sim can just be such a burning beam of fire that you don't want to really get close to it. Plus, you can fire almost infinitely. But we're going to be seeing the turrets get set up for Luke as the battle goes underway.
Speaking of a healer change, Scissors now hopping onto the Ana. Fantastic usage. If there's no Diva, that anti-nade pretty much has free reign. Now, this time it looks like Bulgaria not willing to give South Africa the point so freely like they've been taking it, but until they get some kills, there it is. Shapeshifter going down. Like we say, I'd rather have a tank than a DPS.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it's one of your main tanks. You don't want to lose that hold potential. You can kind of make do if you lose, one of your lesser roles, but really losing that main support or main tank's really going to put you in a bad situation. That being said, we're going to be seeing Bulgaria take the first point, but a lot of ults on the line for the side of South Africa. They're going to have the Sim Wall as well as the Coalescence, Nano Boost, and Beat to counter. So we're going to see how those play with each other. Going to be teleporting right to point and initiating with the wall.
Wow, what a fantastic play. The Maywall goes up, keeps Sarisa from getting onto the point themselves. Buck finds Squishy, but they immediately go down to Vision's Coalescence. So it's going to be up to a nano-boosted Vega to get more of these players cleared up off the point. But South Africa is just doing fantastically with their barrier and Maywall usage. 20 does go down as a result, but this fight's looking more and more like this might be for South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. A crucial Call getting a triple kill off the Gravitic Flux. But I want to talk about that kill onto Squishy by Buck. Squishy getting killed so early into that fight means that Lucio could not build up any sound barrier. And just through passive ult charge alone, Squishy only got about 8% ult charge. You really would have liked to see that go another way. So Squishy could have been building up that sound barrier the entire time. But I don't think South Africa's going to be too bothered considering they still have the point.
Yeah, still got the point. Plus, they're setting up nicely on the high ground here. They've got, Bucks coming in the back line. Doesn't really get anything. Nothing to combo off with this time. Shapeshifter does eliminate Bogers, but Vega comes through with a 2K on the Death Blossom. Buck finds the kill onto Call. Here comes Bulgaria right back onto the point.
Yeah, absolutely. Bulgaria playing so well. It was really South Africa not even noticing Vega taking that top route to drop right onto Visions and company, getting a big kill with the Death Blossom. You like to see that. Vega really well played there, and using this Reaper to a pretty good effect. Again, Reaper makes a little bit of sense here. If you can get in close, the barriers don't really matter. You can just pump in a ton of damage, but now the ults are going to be looking in favor for the side of South Africa as they have the Bongo and Beat.
Wow, Bongo and Beats going down simultaneously, not even waiting for any offense to come out from Bulgaria. They're throwing everything they have into this fight, so Bulgaria simply retreats a little, then starts throwing out the big ults of their own. Huge damage coming in, but unfortunately for Bulgaria, not only does South Africa once again make excellent use of space-taking tanks, but they also trade back some kills of their own.
Yeah, important there was as soon as the Gravitic Flux came out, 20 walled off the main angle of attack, meaning that no follow-up could really be had there. So everybody got low, but Visions on that Moira able to heal up just a massive amount of damage.
Eek, speaking of healing massive amounts of damage, dueling coalescences on the field. Fabelele goes down, but Buck has already found Squishy, and South Africa now really starting to steamroll this fight, thanks to some very well-timed freezes from 20.
Yeah, it's going to be 20 and Like a Luke just beaming down the Orisa by Boger. Boger really going to be switching onto that Reinhardt, perhaps trying to go with a little bit of a different tactic here. Not going to be playing so many barriers. I think maybe they want to cripple Like a Luke's ability to get so much damage ramped up as well. Fapalel going to be switching to the Zarya, meaning a lot of ult's going to be traded up here, but they will still have the Earth or the Seismic Slam as well as the Sound Barrier, or the Meteor Strike rather, and the Sound Barrier.
It's not quite a death ball, but it might be able to deliver some death. Barriers mean nothing to a rocket hammer, but with the Symmetra ult set up on the field, it's going to be difficult for them to get any kills. But as I say so, Shapeshifter, Like a Luke, all go down. A Sigma ult has been dropped onto the point, but it's not going to result in any kills specifically. But man, Visions doing the Battle Moira justice.
Yeah, absolutely. The Maywall coming out, preventing a little bit of damage from going out, but it's really just going to be on this Reinhardt. Things were looking so good for the side of Bulgaria for a minute there. Just did not seem to quite be able to have the follow through in the team fight. And because of that, we're going to see South Africa take it.
All right, and that could not be a better way to start this matchup. Round 3 of a King of the Hill. Both teams taking it almost all the way to the top. I love it. This is definitely not going to be a, wham bam, thank you, man matchup. But, oh, man, look at the coalescence coming out from Sizer. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, just throttling that head back and forth, making sure everybody's getting a little bit of the healing, the damage. So all over some very good plays. And yeah, I think that the first time around we saw South Africa take the first submap here at Nepal, and it looked like they were going to pretty much walk away with it. But man, Bulgaria really kind of putting their foot down, not letting it get too far away from them, even taking the second map and taking it, pretty competitively to a vicious third.
Yeah, I super like the way that Bulgaria is sticking in with these fights, making it known that they are not going to roll over, but South Africa also has some similar tenacity. It's difficult to say who I would even pick off as kind of like the team member in particular that's just doing a fantastic job. 20 has been off the cuff, but Visions' Moira is really something to be a little bit afraid of.
Yeah, Moira is really one of those heroes that's hard to bring up a lot of good things about. But I think 20 and Vision's really been helping out each other. As I mentioned on that third map, I cannot get over the wall that got brought up as soon as that gravitic flux came through. Everybody gets slammed down, meaning that they're all at super low health. And then Visions and Squishy, I believe, able to just heal everybody up, keep everybody healthy, build up a lot of support, ult charge, give Visions another coalescence to help win the fight. It was a massive.
Yeah, that's nuts. I super like seeing those plays come in. Again, the Mei wall cooldowns have become so much more important in this meta as with the advance of barriers. Barriers are nice and all, but a lot of things still go through them. Like, for example, a Moira Coalescence or a Moira Ball. So having that Mei ult, or not the Mei ult, well, the Mei ult's also nice, but having the Mei wall there and ready to go is exactly what we need. So it looks like Bulgaria, having lost the previous roundup, is going to select for their next map, Havana.
Yeah, I like Havana. Havana, nice and sunny. Get to see some escort action going through here. And this is not a map I would be surprised to see Farah at first point. Like I said, we've been seeing a little bit of it lately. So definitely some potential here. We know that teams like to do a Farah stall right above the map. And right now we're seeing a little bit of a pause come through just as teams get things hammered out with map choice.
Yeah, so yes, it looks like there has been a little bit of a mix up. The next map type is going to be a hybrid map. So unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to go to the sunny streets of Havana and enjoy some, I guess it's rum, oil, meant entirely for Omnix.
Yes, it can be both. Maybe it's both. They might be a half and half mixture if my guess is to take any credence here. But that being said, it looks like we're going to be going instead to King's Row as the map change comes through. We're going to instead be switching to a hybrid style here. And, you know, again, I talk about it a lot. Maybe I'm just an optimist for it, but Farah, always an option on King's Row. Well, often an option on King's Row.
Yeah, Farah on King's Row can be very spicy. Fortunately, it has just enough of a skybox and some pretty sick angles you can take advantage of that it isn't really just the feed pick that we want to imagine it to be. However, since neither of these teams brought it out on King's Row or on Nepal, and this particular setup on point A really lends itself towards the double barrier composition. And one thing we see a lot of, Sigma takes high ground while Arisa sets up on the point, similar to Hollywood. I think we'll be lucky if we get to see a FAR.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the defending team, at least to start, going to be rolling out with that Farah. Bulgaria looking like they want to run the Hanzo Mei. Vega playing that Hanzo, kind of peculiar. Interested to see if that comes out, but we're still having some questions about map pick, so bear with us, folks. And in the meantime, what are you thinking? Do you think we have any standout players? I know we talked about Visions, we talked about the Mei walls coming out on last map, but anybody else do you think that's standing out in particular?
I'd like to see Buck pop off. Clearly, their Doomfist is something to be feared, and I think if Bulgaria can time their cooldown usage with Buck's entrance into the backline of South Africa, those ground and pounds and fisticuffs can result in many more kills than we're seeing. That's the kind of thing that Doomfist is really useful in this particular meta. Barriers be damned, he's gonna be back there. He's in your manger. He's ripping apart your healers. There's nothing you can do about it. But sometimes he needs a little help from his team to get that damage through.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't solo as a Doomfist. As much as it feels like the Doomfist is soloing on you sometimes, you can't go 1v6 every time and expect a win. Although I think that, Buck, when he is enabled by his team, I definitely have to agree, he looks very good on that Doomfist. Also, not to speak ill of the other DPS player, I like the versatility we've been seeing coming out of Vega as well. We saw them on the McCree, we saw them on the Reaper, getting some pretty moderate effect with both of those characters. So definitely a little bit of flexibility coming through from the Bulgarian side.
Yeah, I'm, again, super enjoying what we're seeing from this team. And, however, it looks like the map type has finally settled down, and we are going to be going to the sunny streets of Havana to enjoy a nice bottle of Don Rumbotico. But in any event, you know what? The more I look at this map, the more how pretty it is. In any event, though, now that I've stalled enough time, let's see what these teams come out here on the defense. Specifically, let's look forward to Bulgaria.
Ooh, and Bulgaria maybe, I'll only believe it once they are a decent way from spawn running that Pharah. I'm excited. This is what I was hoping for. They're going to be running the pharmacy, in fact.
Yeah, I love seeing this. I honestly can't imagine running a Pharah without the Mercy. All the other opposing team would have to do is just pull out the Widowmaker or the McCree and actually only hit them once, and that will probably cause the Pharah to reflexively drop themselves out of the sky right onto the grounds where they can be murdered in cold blood by the rest of the team. Sounds grim, but that's the reason Mercy is there to help her buddy along.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, and what other healers are really going to do as good a job? You have to really hit your shots as Ana, and then you're looking away from the rest of your teams. And Yada is basically a drip feed, and then the rest really don't quite have the range for it. But we're going to be seeing the action take place really quick as Buck takes to the sky.
Yeah, wow, that was some really fast kills. Holy moly, you can res some of that, but man, Bulgaria is getting stomped into the ground. Normally, we see a lot of crazy stalls coming out on Havana, but South Africa is playing this composition like death ball, and it worked out really well for them.
Yeah, South Africa feeling like they're cracking their knuckles, saying, oh, you've only seen 10% of my power after that control map, because now they are getting pretty aggressive here. I mean, those picks came through almost instantaneously. Pharmacy not even able to really get too many shots in. And I mean, you look at the ult charge, that's always a good indicator of how long a fight goes on and how much damage takes place. It's still pretty low. Nobody above 50 with the exception of Squishy barely trickling over that 50 in the Zenyatta trance.
I was going to say, the fact that the Zenyatta on the team is the one with the highest ult charge just demonstrates how much of a contribution they were making to that fight, indeed wrapping up the last 2 kills themselves. But now we have the fight and the payload in full swing. Both Hanzos grabbing some kills, but Vision's going down is not the pick you want. Vega's actually going to get res pretty easily. Yoshio, I don't think is going to be able to get, or rather, there is no mercy on the side of South Africa to make that resurrection happen. And yeah, Bulgaria fights on the cart and makes it known that this isn't going to be as easy as that first push.
Yeah, so luckily enough for them, Bulgaria able to restabilize a little bit here. Vega taking down 20 in the 1v1. Still no ults built up with the exception of Vision's going to be having that damage amplification matrix come up. 20 on this Widow, maybe looking to get an early pick onto the Pharah Mercy combo, but they're really going to have to work with those angles. That Pharah has quite a few different angles of attack you have to be cautious of if you're on that hit scan.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but with Pharah up high in the sky like that, they might have this opportunity as they slip around the border. In any event, though, the war on the ground is also under full swing, and now it's a Batista ult getting thrown onto the field. That's a truckload of damage heading down right into Bulgaria, and starting with a headshot onto the Orisa, but there's the barrage.
Wow.
Oh, holy moly.
Yeah, wow, an amazing Transcendence coming through from Squishy. As soon as the Rocket Barrage comes out,
Wow.
that Transcendence, yes, in response, the Amplifier going to be coming through, not going to be netting too much. In fact, a lot of ults used, but none of them going in favor of South Africa's way this time around. 20 not really claiming as many heads as they might have liked to in that last team fight in the sky.
Yep, at the very least, now that the Pharah barrage is down, South Africa might have a chance to make it this point, but as you mentioned, there's just a lot of ultimates remaining on both sides, or rather, both sides, yeah. Like Luke already has built up to a Blizzard, Centacle is also going to be dropping that Gravitic Flux, as well as some, here we go, opening with a Bongo from Bogor.
Oh, yeah, and the May going to be dropping the Blizzard, not really going to be catching anybody with it, though. It's going to be pretty much centered on Cart as the Sigma Gravitic Flux comes through, netting a kill.
That is a nice usage of ultimates there, but Bulgaria has now spent everything in this fight. Centacle and Vision's probably going to have their ultimates up and ready to combo with for the next battle, which means Bulgaria has roughly an empty push. Scissors and Buck might be able to build it back up, depends on how many direct hits they can get. And of course, then there's Dragons from Vega.
Yeah, and now we're going to be seeing the Mirror Pharmacy come out. 20 finally been giving up on that Widowmaker. I think that's a good call. Those angles were just a little too steep. Instead, hopping onto the McCree. McCree feels a little bit more comfortable playing against the Pharah and around those corners. The Gravitic Flux coming out, only going to be netting the Mercy, but Centacle goes down for it.
Yeah, that's insane. It's your one major offensive ult in this fight, and it goes away and actually only results in getting yourself killed. Now Shapeshifter's down as well with 15 seconds left. South Africa is going to have to switch over to those overtime heroes to get back on the cart.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Luke and Visions might try to concussion blast Rocket Barrage Rocket Jump Jet their way up there. Might not be the case. The Diva trying to touch to point, and it's gonna be getting there.
Yes, the contest is in, and Vega actually goes down early into the fight. Shapeshifter goes down. Now it's the Barrage, but 20 popping off. The Barrage does D-Max Centacle and pick up Squishy, but kills starting to come in now for South Africa.
Yeah, this is exactly what they needed. They needed this shot in the arm. And 20 going to be cleaning up here. That was some crucial play. 20, I definitely have to stick by it. The McCree, a much better pick than the Widow, already matching the ult charge that the Widow had after 3 team fights in just 1. And speaking of ult charge, it's just going to be Vega on the side of Bulgaria. They have to be a little bit careful that the momentum doesn't swing too much for South Africa, otherwise that cart could get rolling quite a ways.
Yeah, that was nuts. And speaking of the cart rolling quite a ways, like a Luke, after having switched onto the Pharah, also going to be having a barrage of their own to go with. Now, Yoshio rather still sitting on the Mercy, but now we have Buck back on the Doofus as Dragons go hurtling into the cart. That's going to keep and separate South African offense a bit.
Ooh, and Buck gonna be diving right on the 20 as that hiding comes through, not quite able to land it. You gotta pick up a little bit of a critical play coming through from Buck.
Yeah, that was exactly the kind of support that Buck needed. Yoshio was pocketing him that entire time, and with that damage boost healing coming out from the Mercy, Doomfist is absolutely a force to be forced to be reckoned with. Also, let's talk about Vapelele, who is popping off on the Diva here. Another hero we don't actually see all that often.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, looking onto the side, or looking onto both sides rather, a lot of support ultimates online right now. We have 1 Transcendence, 1 Nano Boost, and 2 Mercy Valks, so a lot of maintenance going to be capable here from the defending, or from both sides rather, but they really have to be careful. Buck getting the Nano Boost first.
Yup, and they immediately go ripping after 20 again. Support, support, support. Buck also finds Squishy with a follow-up from his fist cannons, and another rocket punch just going diving in there. He is causing so much disruption in the back line.
Yeah, and really focusing who he needs to. As soon as 20 goes down, you know you don't have to worry about that flashbang. You don't have to worry about staying in place for too long. It's going to be only benefit for you. He's going to be getting the Meteor Strike because of it. And Sentinel getting D-Mech late, it looks like they're going to let him ride. Not going to be getting the Diva that mech back anytime soon. And now more and more ults are being built up from Bulgaria because they just straight up don't need to use them too much.
Yeah, fantastic play now, defense rather, from Bulgaria. With 30 seconds left again, if South Africa doesn't get another shot in the arm, this is going to be where the cart dies, but they have a lot of ultimates to work with as well.
Yeah, they certainly do. It's going to be another moment for South Africa to really have to pull it back. Yoshio going down on the Mercy might be their opportunity as the kills are starting to come in.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play from the Diva Bomb right on top of the Mercy. Nowhere for her to run as the rest of the team had ducks to cover and didn't get her that line of sight needed. So, bonus round though for Bulgaria defending so far up is that they are going to get one more fight before that cart crosses point B.
Yeah, they will have one more fight, but a lot of ults in favor of the side of South Africa. They still have that barrage. Not sure if they'll want to use it against now a McCree and Doomfist. Hopefully they're keeping an eye on the team comp to kind of keep tabs on that. They'll also have the Valk up here in just a moment. High Noon may not get so much value in this kind of situation. Narrow hallways, but we'll have to see.
So there it is. 20 starts off with the High Noon to make this fight happen. They're holding it, they're not going to get anything from it. But Sentinel finds Buck early on. That forces the res, and now the big barrage goes in. The Diva Bomb is out though, in Bulgaria, popping in crazy quantities of kills.
Yeah, absolutely. Boger really doing the work and coordination with Buck to get the kills that needed to come through. That is some high value play there. You like to see it. And because of that, they're going to be netting themselves a 2-point hold.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. So many ultimates from South Africa that they were able to use to win that fight, but instead Bulgaria took it on the chin. They made the magic happen. And again, I want to say, look at the shields even left over on Buck's little health meter at the top of the screen. That Doomfist is getting in so much work.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, the kind of a huge momentum push with Doomfist as he gets more damage done through his abilities. He gets those shieldings, making him even more sturdy and durable. And you like to see that if you're on the side of the Doomfist. You hate to see it if you're against him.
Yeah, I remember playing Roadhog back in the day when Doomfist was really coming out, and dealing with a really good Doomfist, similar to dealing with a really good Hammond, can be extremely frustrating if they give themselves the ability to duck away. Their cooldowns are at the point where it's really difficult to get a beat on them, Mei being one of those heroes that's very efficient at it. But if the Mei, and of course McCree with the flashbang, but if McCree's the first target, that's a rough pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of picks, I'd like to talk about Buck on this Sombra. Not sure if they're going to be running it just for a little bit of scouting or if they're actually going to choose to opt into it. If they do, looks like they're going to be going up against a double sniper composition, so they have the opportunity to kind of set up, give the team the positioning of the snipers, and potentially get a kill on one of them. But it's not necessarily going to be as effective as maybe running that far, which we are going to see the swap to.
Yeah, so Vega actually also still going to be running the Widow, so we might be getting a little bit of that Widow duel action. This is going to be interesting as both sides have exactly the barriers necessary. No. Wow, yeah, immediate switches from Bulgaria. Oh my goodness.
Buck going to be going on to that Doomfist. As we know, he seems to like to play it. Can't necessarily say I disagree with the performance we've been seeing out of him on it sometimes.
And Vega on the Genji, this is going to be a good time. Scissors also popping in on the Ana again, meaning that I think we're going to be seeing some Nanoblade action, though building this ult charge by Genji is going to be a little difficult. Kill already going in on Sentical thanks to Buck ripping through the backline. Immortality field down as well, so now Bulgaria has free reign to get what they can happen. Shapeshifter gets very low. They are going to get popped up though.
Yeah, absolutely. And such a good support line coming through for the attacking team Bulgaria right now. Buck got brought down to 3 HP, still manages to survive and live it. And as we see, you can't let Buck live in these situations for South Africa. He will just absolutely rip and tear through you. And right now, Switzy on this Widowmaker, not quite able to deliver the punch needed that you gotta have from that Widowmaker.
Punch. They got punched. But yeah, so Buck, again, Buck I think is one of the big stars of Bulgaria right now. The support that their team is giving them is absolutely fantastic. South Africa coming back in here to contest one more time before the point is taken, but already the kill onto Squishy indicates that they are going to be a man down. Lucky Luke falls immediately after having switched onto the Mei, try and get some more control in. Another major healer, Vision's gone. That's going to be Bulgaria taking this point.
Yeah, it's Wenty now hopping onto that Reaper. I can't say I disagree with this. I like it a little bit better than the Widow, especially as we get towards that Distillery section. Distillery not so favorable for Widow, but Reaper, I start to like that a little bit better, but they are giving up a lot of ult charge. Buck going to be having that meteor strike as well as the Bongo from Boger.
And that is one of the ballsiest Genji plays I've ever seen. Vega went ripping through like a Luke like it was nothing. And a Mei via Genji is not a matchup that I personally would ever take if I was the Genji. Vega just now actually trying to compete with Buck, I think, for who can rip apart their line the fastest.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vega actually going to be having the blade up. No Nano to really combo with it right now, but they don't even care. They're just getting such a forward hold right now that they are pushing the cart so far just through one-man progress.
And the victory box draws ever closer. They pulled all that off without an Ana, so now the dueling bongos are down, and there goes the Genji blade right into the backline. Shapeshifter goes down immediately. If they're not going to be able to get any kills from that, at least eliminating a tank is huge. Yes, 20 also follows. That's almost the entirety of South Africa done.
Yeah, and even though there was the gravitic flux coming through from the Sigma on South Africa, it did not matter. Yoshio so quick to activate that sound barrier and get that healing buff onto the team that you gotta think there's some really good coordination going on with the team right now.
Yeah, overtime, or rather, final stall picks are already coming out from South Africa. Shapeshifter having switched from the Ariso onto the Hammond. They're going to get focused down, almost down to nothing, but Vision's already also getting focused down. They're bringing out the Coalescence. That's going to keep them out a lot longer. Sigma only grabs the Shapeshifter and Hammond, but that is going to be enough at least to also distract the team. Get some more pokes in here. Bulgaria looking strong. This could be it, and that's done.
Yeah, and the stall coming out from Mei, gonna be landing just a little bit ahead of the cart, not able to stop it from getting to point, resulting in a net win for Bulgaria, and they are looking so much better right now than they were on Control.
Yeah, so this is nuts play coming out from Bulgaria here. Very, very solid excellence. I'm liking that they're evening it up now. 1-1, South Africa v Bulgaria. This is officially a match. Loving these plays coming out from here. I also like that Vega got the play of the game while they were collapsed.
Anytime we don't see a 4-0, I'm always going to be happy with it. And right now, that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing one map apiece for these two teams. And man, I'm only more and more excited to see this map, this series go on, as we're going to be hopping into an Assault map next.
So with Assault, that means we have a slew of different places to choose from. I have to say that I don't necessarily hate by default the Assault map type, but there are a few of them that I would spare myself from seeing.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you're talking about Horizon Lunar Colony, and I'm going to take the unpopular opinion and say that I have to disagree with you. I don't know why. It's just one of my favorite maps. I think that we would have so little knowledge of what would happen that it'd be so interesting to watch. I haven't seen a Horizon game in so long, but that aside, we are going to be seeing the teams just about getting ready to hop into the next game. We are just waiting on that map pick to go through.
Yeah, so with that being said, and we know we're heading on to an assault map, I'm curious as to which particular one South Africa is going to go with. We know Bulgaria elected to appear on Havana, and they did a fantastic job with it. I don't necessarily think South Africa's particular strengths lend themselves to any one specific assault map. If we were seeing a truckload of Sombra play, I would actually kind of suggest maybe they head to Volskaya. Otherwise, I'm not sure. HLC might be a solid choice for them, as would be Hanamura.
Yeah, Hanamura, of course, having those big chokes. And we've talked about how that May play comes through on the side of South Africa. And really, I'm liking it. I think that that would be a very good choice if they continued to go with the route of playing the May. As well, like Luke on the sim, we've seen it before. They like to play that sim, and you can always get that sim teleport first point for Hanamura. I think it'd be a very reasonable map for South Africa.
Yeah, agreed. If they're going to start by turning this around with a map pick that they favor, that would definitely be a solid choice. Unless, of course, they hate the map. So, in other words, they'd have to select another one. Now, if they did actually end up going to, say, Horizon Lunar Colony, what do you think? They set up defense in the zero gravity zone for sure?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The the zero gravity zone, 1v1 Torb Hammer battle. I think that's the only way to go about this. But as we look towards reality, as we zoom back into what's actually going to happen, Hanamura coming up next. I like it. I'm glad to see South Africa picking it. I do think it fits a little bit of their preferences and strengths as we see it moving forward. 20 on that Widowmaker. I think they've been wanting to play it at least on Havana. They wanted to play it a little bit, so I think that might find a little bit more purchase here than it did on Havana.
For sure, and I don't think it would be a bad choice at all. As even given the propensity for barriers to be played, there's a lot you can do on Hanamura, especially with a Widowmaker and, for example, a bunker comp. You can work in those double barriers, throw in a Baptiste, and maybe for your second damage dealer, maybe a Junkrat or a Bastion, some kind of high damage output character that doesn't necessarily have to move around a lot. Junkrat gives you a bit more mobility, Bastion a little bit more survivability, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you have the trade-offs when it comes to those two different those two different types of play styles, I would say. But either way, I think we are going to be seeing some interesting play come through here. I'm glad we're not going to be seeing just two Ryans at the choke just swinging at each other with the Zarya. I think it's going to get a little bit more complex than that. The Sigma Orisa combos have some pretty decent potential here as well. We could also talk about the potential of Farah, but either way, it's gonna be kind of a little bit of a grab bag. There's quite a bit we could do. So really, just kind of excited to get into it as we hop in. We have been waiting for some lobby changes to be going through, which is why it's been taking a little bit longer than usual. But it looks like we might be ready to get back into the action here in just a moment.
One of the most important things we want to make sure is that when the team name displays proudly on the screen after victory, that it is in fact the team's team name and not just Team 1, Team 2. This is an entirely a North and NA production after all. So, without further ado, it looks like we are going to be getting locked up into Hanamura. There is a sub coming through. It looks like Nyx is going to be entering into the Bulgaria roster, possibly in the role of a damage dealer, as they have taken the place of Vega.
Yeah, interesting because I really liked the plays and flexibility that were coming through from Vega. Maybe Nyx has a DPS roster that's a little bit more suited for this Hanamura spot. Either way, going to be seeing it come through here as we get initiated onto Hanamura. Once again, going to be South Africa to start on attack.
Based on top secret intelligence, I have it on relatively good faith that Nyx is in fact a bit more of a Hanzo specialist, which possibly means that instead of Vega's Widowmaker, they might be intending to run Nyx onto the Hanzo, which again, in terms of a sniper that you want to run on Hanamura, Hanzo definitely a good choice. Those dragons can make efficient use of sealing off those tight little chokes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hanzo plays kind of similarly to the style of the Junkrat we were talking about earlier, and that they can both be just such high spam characters. Obviously, Junkrat and Hanzo played a little bit differently, but instead, no. It looks like Nyx instead going to be opting for that May on the defense, at least at spawn. Still some opportunity to change here, as they haven't quite left the spawn just yet.
Yeah, and as far as honestly a defensive pick goes, who can fault a May pick, right? Like it's just such an easy option for the choke on point A, and then even then fighting on the point. Why not just get the May, pick the safe choice? They also, despite secret intelligence can be wrong sometimes too. Maybe they're just fancy themselves a fancier May, or given that Buck is now jumping onto a Pharah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That Pharah able to get some shots in over that May wall still. But interestingly, it's looking like there's kind of a very far away setup. So the traditional bunker, as we see, usually set up on the high ground. This one's going to be ground level with that double barrier comp still coming through. And as I predicted, Lyca going to be on that sim, ready to teleport the entire team.
That is my new favorite teleport ever! The May wall boosts the teleporter up so that they can gain access to the roof. They set up on the point immediately. South Africa, you madmen! They've already taken a tick with no contest.
Yeah, that was such a crafty teleport coming through. You gotta love it. That position could not have been better, and it caught Bulgaria so off guard.
Was insane. I don't think South Africa is going to come away with this fight unless they start pulling in some kills. And yeah, Buck already has a barrage, so you can. I don't know though. Shapeshifter going down. That's Buck going to get res though. So yeah, South Africa, many men down, not looking good. But they took a tick for free essentially. That's insanity. I love it.
Yeah, that was some incredible play. Lyca not getting too much damage done, but that teleporter so instrumental in that situation. Instead, going to be switching on to the Doomfist, as that trick probably won't work twice. And Buck able to build up so much ult charge, as we saw, already having that rocket barrage and a quarter up and online. Man, to see the rocket barrage come out that early, it was ridiculous. Vision's going to be having the coalescence as well, but we're hearing the damage amplification matrix come out from the side of Zizors.
Oh jeez, and Mercy flew up just a little too high in the sky, but 20 was there waiting, but Buck has secured some well-timed revenge. Lyca goes diving in there to try and salvage some of this fight, but it looks like they're not even going to be able to build a lot of ult percentage. Bulgaria's defense has really solidified now all of a sudden.
Yeah, Bulgaria definitely not looking to get caught off guard once more. They're definitely looking to keep it close to the chest this time around. They don't want to be made fool of again. But that being said, they are getting a little bit aggressive with it, as this May just trying to do a little bit of damage to the Orisa shield.
Oh, fantastic work from 20, finding the head click onto 20, and now it looks like they have set up, and they are just going ham with the picks, finding Boger again, because Buck was already res. That means no suit for you. Another kill, Nyx goes down. South Africa slowly picking apart this Bulgarian defense, which is not without its teeth, as they are also clapping back just a tad.
Yeah, 20 getting a lot of good shots in here. Not even necessarily so many kills. I mean, there are definitely kills, but there's also some good cleanup and follow-up coming through here that enables the other players to really get that damage in and just force so many lines of sight to be given up. Second tick already going in favor here for South Africa, and they are so close they can taste it. They're going to be committing the bongo for it.
Yeah, South Africa again with their placement. It doesn't matter how many ults Bulgaria throws into the fight. South Africa was the only one on the point, so they get the cap, and now we're moving on to point B.
Yeah, Buck going to be committing that rocket barrage a little late into the fight, but not really going to matter, as they do switch on to the Doomfist. About half the roster going to be giving up ult charge there. Boger, Nyx, and Zizor is going to be keeping their ults on the line. Squishy the only one really to answer for that. Nicole getting brought dangerously low before retreating.
Yeah, Buck was able to catch them on that side flank there. And if anything can be said about Buck's Doomfist, we've seen it before. They can 1v1 a diva pretty handily.
Yeah, it is absolutely true, and this is only building up more ult charge for Visions, who can be so effective with that Moira.
And there it is. How insane is that? But South Africa rolls right in. Buck finds the kill onto Lyca, and Fabelele catches up again with the kill on the Shapeshifter. Looking good for the defense. South Africa will have to contend with those defensive reinforcements much faster than their own will return.
Yeah, as I was talking about that coalescence from Visions, I'm not necessarily sure that was the call. It came in a little late. As we know, the attacking team really needs to get those numbers advantages early on into the fight, and they were already 2-2 in terms of lost members. You think they could have saved that for the next push instead of trying to go into a already losing fight. But that being said, spent money is spent money. Like Luke going to be having that meteor strike to match Buck's Boger with that damage amplification. And on top of that, South Africa going to have to deal with a Diva self-destruct online as well.
Super nuts, but also we have Buck with the Seismic Slam ready to go. I know I keep harping on him about this, man, but he is going crazy on this Doomfist. South Africa, though, they're taking the front door. 2.5 minutes. The May wall closets off at least the McCree, but it looks like they're actually going to pick up Nyx, though unfortunately Buck has found Lyca-Luke for some more kills on the point, and a Diva Bomb from Sentinel serves only to get them out of the mech long enough to get Seismic slammed.
Yeah, honestly, that Diva Bomb coming through, not too crucial from Sentinel, as it does just merely make Fafael basically commit their Diva Bomb as well. Going to be getting some kills from that one, however. So right now, South Africa looking a little bit neutered here. They really need to start doing some change-ups. They need to change a little bit of how they're playing, and it looks like with the Zarya, that's exactly what they're going to try to do, getting off of the Sigma, trying to get a little bit of high-energy damage from the Zarya. And it makes sense considering Fafael going to be on that Diva, not the double barrier comp we're used to seeing.
Given how excited Buck is to dive into that back line, maybe some Zarya shields and some charge is just what the doctor ordered. The Orisa shield has been set up on the low ground, possibly to try and entice Bulgaria down to a fight. Maywa splits the team quite nicely, and this time it's Lyca-Luke's turn to go seismic slamming onto the point, but not going to result in any kills, and instead Shapeshifter's going to be one going down thanks to Buck, and a Coalescence coming out from Scissors is going to all but lock this fight up.
Yeah, Buck continuing to just close these kills with such a high damage amount coming through from that Doomfist. Just even getting a couple kills off the back of the orb. That being said, you know, they committed the Meteor Strike on the side of South Africa, and now we're seeing the swap onto the Sim, so even that's not that big of a loss. And they're going to have 3 ults online, the Coalescence, the Sound Barrier, the High Noon. You got to think they're going to try to get 20 onto that high ground to really optimize that High Noon usage.
Yeah, give him a Zarya bubble, just keep him alive long enough. A halt pulls a bunch of them almost off the high ground, but they all get away. Buck actually takes the opportunity to go even further up. And yeah, there it is. Teleporter drops right on. Barriers leading. 20 did not get the barriers, however. They're pulling High Noon from that high ground as anticipated, and Nyx and Yoshio both go down at 2K. South Africa blow the point wide open, and this could be it.
Man, South Africa always pulling out these crazy sim strats. It's just going to be a baby Diva trying to contest point, taking a shot by 20 and a boot by Squishy. The Diva, or the May Blizzard coming through here might be the hold that... Oh, and Visions, never mind.
Wow. Visions makes damage dealing Moro actually look like a real solid option, and they actually finish the clock. Or rather, South Africa leave 11 seconds on the clock. Whew.
That is amazing. If you had asked me if I would have in a million years guessed that play was going to happen, just some wacky teleports coming through. They teleport through the window onto the lantern on the second point. Everybody but the McCree floods in. McCree gets a big High Noon, and from there, it's just looking so grim for Bulgaria. Oh my goodness. I'm glad we have 30 seconds because I need a minute to calm down after that. Oh my goodness, and while we have this opportunity, going to be taking a look onto now the attacking side for Bulgaria. Threep, what do you think we might be seeing after that shakeup?
I am curious if Bulgaria is going to be rocking a Symmetra of their own. Teleporting onto the point to bypass any kind of choke is not a new strategy, but I believe teams are definitely using it in more creative ways. That being said, Bulgaria, oh, there it is. Oh, tell me, Nyx, bless you if you leave spawn with that Sombra.
We do have a little bit of time, so once again, Sombra might just be for scouting, and if so, that might be a very crucial scout, because it looks like we're going to be seeing the Bastion setup come through from South Africa. This is a little bit of a kickback to the older metas, where Bastion Bunker was pretty predominant here. This time, instead, it's going to be the double barrier bunker. So the DBBs, as I'm now going to be referring to them, and the May on 20 on the May, rather. An interesting choice, considering we usually see something along the lines of that Junkrat or Sniper pick to kind of complement the long ranges.
Yeah, I can only assume that 20 is going to be looking forward to using that May wall to stopping Bulgaria as they come through the spawn. Nyx, new favorite player, has left the spawn with Sombra, and I think now we know why that they pulled that swap out for Vega.
Yeah, absolutely. Might be seeing a little bit of a change in play styles. Nyx already doing a little backline infiltration and getting on the point just to disrupt a little bit.
And it does the job, as well as a concussive blast, knocking Orisa off the point, off the high ground rather. Only a Sigma barrier left up there to keep that Bastion alive. Orisa does have to take the long way around, but that is Bulgaria's opening, and Buck falls victim to the Bastion, who has now, unfortunately, been subjected to the res, the resets, the Control Z, and now it's Bulgaria. Oh, maybe making a play for the point, though all they've done really is, yep, there it is, Shapeshifter's down, the point has opened.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get that res if it's even on a line for the side of Visions right now. Lyca-Luke not getting the damage poured through so quickly. Squishy able to get the Immort field down just in time before the hack comes through. That is crucial.
Very nuts. And yes, Sigma barrier keeping everyone alive just long enough. Squishy drops the Batiste thing, but actually Visions like and Squishy are going to go down to the tenacious assault led by Nyx hacks. Unbelievable play.
Yeah, that was very efficient from the side of Bulgaria, and things aren't looking good for South Africa, as now they're going to have to be going up against a slew of ultimates. This is the ultimate snowball potential we talk about here. They're going to have the EMP. On top of that, they're going to have to worry about if they get EMP'd, how are they going to deal with the rocket barrage? And then by that point, you probably have Valk up, you have the Amplifier up, you have Coalescence already up, and Nyx doing a little bit of scouting to get set up. He's going to realize that Orisa is set up on the high ground. That's only going to help the far up position himself.
Yeah, looks like Nyx got found by 20, who was doing some preemptive ice blasting. Well played, getting Nyx away from the point. That's going to delay that a bit. So the Coalescence comes out from Scissors, and Yoshio also dropping the Valk. But Nyx, once again, is going to find another kill up to 20. And this is just not looking good for South Africa. That's kill after kill after kill. Immortality field dealt with, Shapeshifter down. This is a Hanamura at a blistering speed. Buck already with the barrage, dropping that in. And South Africa, this is stall time for them.
Yeah, South Africa right now just trying to buy as much time off the clock as possible. They're going to be breaking out that Blizzard. It does come out before the EMP, but it's really only going to get Fabulel, who does get brought down, but it might not be enough of a change up to win the fight here.
Ooh, Sigma coming out at the last minute. Sentacol dropping up with the Sigma ult. And also finding Boger.
Wow.
This caster may have just jinxed that push entirely. Bulgaria doesn't even come away with a tick.
Wow, that was incredible. Things were looking so good for Bulgaria, but really Buck and Nyx not really seeming to optimize their combo potential there, and instead we're going to be seeing now some swaps. Buck going off the Pharah onto the Doomfist, Fapilel on to the Diva, Yoshio onto the Lucio as well. A lot of swaps coming through as 20 hops onto the Tracer off the Mei. Mei getting pulled off that high ground can be so crucial, so it makes sense if you're going to run the Tracer, at least you can be a little bit more optimal in your movement about it.
So here we go, South Bulgaria taking the route directly through this choke. Moira Visions tosses a very good ball right back in there, gets eaten up by the Diva, and 20 already having found Buck though. That means no Killer Doomfist, but Squishy goes down also to follow. Healer for a DPS is an okay trade. Not perfect, but Bulgaria is now stuck here up on the high ground until they decide to make right for the point.
Yeah, absolutely. And the hack onto Like Luke is going to be crucial. Nick still playing that Sombra to such a strong degree, knowing who the hack targets are. And as we see Bucket back on the point, that's going to be a big boon to the side of Bulgaria.
Yeah, hack onto Doomfist, rips away 3 extremely important cooldowns. Buck back in the fight has already taken down Visions. Shapeshifter switching onto the Hammond, so maybe South Africa has smelled their own blood in the water. Doomfist seismic slams Boger right through the floor though. Scissors finds 20, but South Africa is looking very good on their defense here.
Yeah, South Africa now going to be man up, or at least respawn up, as it's going to be Bulgaria kind of just, or it's going to be South Africa, excuse me, man down. Just trying to claim anything they can.
Yeah, that EMP there was clutch. Squishy almost dead as they went down. 20 finds the high noon though, and Swing Nyx goes down. This is crazy. Bulgaria can't clear South Africa off the point long enough. And despite Buck coming back here and doing the damages, this push has now gone on for just about a minute and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great stall coming out from South Africa, but it's not going to matter that much if they can't get some kills going their way. As we've seen, Bulgaria has had a ton of time to get reinforcements back. And right now, it's not looking great. We're seeing their tanks try to hold the Moira coming in once again. And another hack on the Like Luke. My friend, it's going to be tough against Nyx.
Yeah, Buck is already making that Doomfist power known. A hacked Doomfist definitely going to lose against an unhacked Doomfist any day of the week unless you're crazy lucky. And Vision's going down to the final. Bulgaria having taken just about 50% of this point. It looks like it might only be a matter of time, but who knows with South Africa.
Yeah, I absolutely like this. We're seeing the play come out from 20 and Like Luke. They're definitely taking turns, seeing who can get on point. And an incredible amount of stall coming through from the South African team. Will it have been enough? No, not quite. They're still going to have the lesser time bank. But still, they had to have burnt at least like a minute and a half off the time clock just through that last stall alone.
Yeah, from their first really solid push starting at about maybe 4 minutes and 45 seconds left. It's now down to 2:26 after the little time boost. So yeah, I would say Bulgaria definitely obviously way faster than South Africa, but man, South Africa's defense crazy intense. I love that they pushed Bulgaria that hard.
Yeah, they really did. Bulgaria, though, not letting up off the gas on their offense. So with that being said, we're going to, of course, be seeing South Africa go once again for an attack phase, as they do have the lesser of the two time banks. And they have about almost a third less of the time than the side of Bulgaria does. And I don't know if they're necessarily going to want to try some sim strats once again. Like a Luke immediately hopping onto the Genji, but that might not stick around for the time being. Although, it looks like they might be setting up for some dive.
If this is maybe some traditional dive, I can definitely understand the mentality behind that, although a McCree is not going to be factoring into a, well, not a super effective dive. But with only a minute to get some progress on Hanamura point A, I can understand the need. Nope, and Genji's gone. So yeah, this is just going to be a traditional double barriers nonsense coming out here. But in a minute to go, they better make those kills count.
Yeah, and more importantly, 20 better be very vigilant against Buck, who's already getting some decent ult charge in the sky. You can't let that Pharah have free reign.
Yeah, speaking of Pharah having free reign, Visions is just squishy enough of a target to take down, and it looks like the rest of the kill is going to be coming in. Yoshio is going to get the resurrection that Buck, or rather that 20 had made onto Buck. And yeah, so that, fortunately for South Africa, was a very fast push, and they are going to get another fight out of this.
Yeah, and you need to be decisive when you know you're going up against a main. Nyx getting that wall up, preventing 20 from getting those lines of sight onto the Pharah, but he should just rain down rockets a little bit more aggressively, and Serwani going down is not great for the South African team.
Yeah, that's going to be a long walk back from spawn, and despite the Maywall going up, it looks like South Africa is going to come piling in, only to meet once again the rockets of Buck, who drops a barrage right on top of them, demeching the Diva, getting the murder, Shapeshifter goes down. South Africa has dropped someone onto the point to extend this just long enough, but it's cleanup time for Bulgaria.
Yeah, Bulgaria gonna be doing the cleanup, just a little bit of stall potential coming through from 20, but as the amplification matrix is going to be coming out, not looking favorable for the South African team as the overtime timer ticks down, not quite able to get on the point by Shapeshifter, and that kind of sealed the fate for South Africa. Best they can do here is a draw.
Yes, and it is 100% possible for them to keep Bulgaria from getting any more progress than they did. Definitely possible, but as strong as Bulgaria has been looking on Hanamura, I don't know. This is going to be one of the toughest fights of the match so far. Speaking of which, again, if you're liking what you're seeing from these particular teams, and boy, do I know I am, don't forget to check out the merchandise store. You can support your favorite team by grabbing some sick caps, shirts, and cool merch.
Absolutely going to be showing that love to the teams, help them out a little bit. If I believe a lot of this helps towards funding their World Cup adventures, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Now, however, we're going to be seeing the teams swap up. No big surprise. We're still going to be seeing a Pharah into the mix here. Buck going to be rocking that Pharah, I imagine. I would say if they go to second point, they'd take the Doomfist, but second point not even going to be a question here. We're not even going to see the back 2/3 of this point cap.
Yeah, also, as I look at the destruction left behind by Buck's Pharah on Hanamura, 2 minutes and 26 seconds, I'm pretty sure Buck's going to pull out at least 2 barrages, if not more, as fast as they've been able to generate them. Now, however, South Africa bringing Like a Luke and Visions back onto their own Pharmacy pairing. So at this point, though, it's not going to be an uncontested fight in the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nyx on this Sombra, they might be expecting the Bastion comp one more time, but either way, if they're able to get the hack onto Like a Luke, that can be very crucial in bringing down the Winged Rocket Queen.
Yeah, so Nyx already going deep into the backline, probably going to be initiating some of that pullback from the choke. And as of right now, it's still in the poke phase, but it looks up. There it is, sent to call with the help of their Like a Luke of Pharah in the sky. Both the Pharmacy has been taken out, but Nyx is on the point. They're alone. They have to get back in time, and they do contest before that third is captured. Well played, Nyx.
Yeah, it was well played. They did get a little bit of pullback, but it wasn't quite timed properly enough. There wasn't a whole lot of capitalization from Bulgaria to really be able to respond to the lacking defenses from South Africa. So really all it did was make the team have to turn around just a little bit.
Brilliant halt coming out from Shapeshifter. That's going to get Buck right out of the sky, forcing Yoshio to spend that resurrection. It's looking like it's really difficult for Buck to get some purchase here, and Like a Luke is going to be the first one to the barrage, superseding, rather subverting all expectations here.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nyx not really playing that Sombra as well as you might like to see it, but Like a Luke not going to matter if they have the barrage if they drop first.
Yep, and Visions gets trapped on the ground. They are going to get out of there, but that's going to make Luke unresable, and with a barrage in the bank, that was huge. Now, if Bulgaria can press this advantage, they can take this point no problem at all, but South Africa still has a lot to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Sentinel going to be getting the hack from Sombra by Nyx. Nyx looking to get those choice targets out a little bit now. And we're seeing the amplification matrix come through Squishy, but it might be a bit too late.
Yeah, Shapeshifter going down also with 20. The barriers are awful. It's a man down from South Africa. Buck, or rather, Luke drops the barrage, but they're not able to do enough damage. Bulgaria is alone on the point, and that's going to be Hanamura.
Yeah, Bulgaria going to be taking it, and, 2 minutes and a half to go up against to get one tick. I'm not too surprised Bulgaria necessarily capped that. I mean, there was a lot working in their favor. They had the opportunity to build a lot more ults and just have many more goes at it. So overall, not too surprising. Still well played from both teams. I don't think I'm disappointed with the performance I've been seeing coming out from either side. However, as we are going to be moving on to our final map, our final map of the night, it will be hybrid, if memory serves.
Indeed it will, but also, as a special treat for everyone, don't forget that this hybrid map is also still now going to be selected by South Africa, which means if they can take it, then it'll be 2-2, and we will be going to a tiebreaker.
Yeah, that would really be a treat. Always love to see those very long games. I at least like hearing myself talk for those very long games. So sorry, folks, you're stuck with us if we do go to that map 5. But before we get carried away, we do have to see what hybrid map we'll even be playing on to start. And Threep, do you have any predictions that South Africa might be leaning towards?
So, South Africa, I think they're getting a lot of use out of that Sigma in particular. Sentinel has been doing a bang-up job, especially given that, we just saw that play of the game where a clutch Sigma intervention wiped Bulgaria from the point and just extended that time just a little bit longer. So, maybe they'll go with something that really favors the barriers. Honestly, maybe Hollywood would be a solid choice here. You have the high ground, you have some low ground to play with, and they're... Orisa's Shapeshifter's Orisa play has also been pretty good to boot. So if it were me, I don't know. Unless I really hate Hollywood, sounds like a good choice.
Yeah, as well, I think that South Africa, it might be a little bit, I talk about it a lot because I saw it on Havana and that's kind of set the precedent for me. But I think they like the Widow. And Hollywood, not necessarily a bad second point for Widow. If you can get onto those high grounds, you can really hold the opposing team off at an arm's distance. You have to know how to pull away from the first point so you don't get kind of steamrolled. But I think it's viable. I mean, as well, we can look towards Numbani. Not necessarily a map I would anticipate to be chosen here. Just because I don't think we've seen a lot of dive-friendly maps, teams perhaps not feeling like it's necessarily in their wheelhouse. But either way, going to be looking forward to seeing whatever South Africa pulls out of their back pocket.
Yeah, I am excited. Oh, there we go. So Bulgaria is going to be ripping a sub out and grabbing someone else in. I have a feeling it's going to be Vega coming back in for next. And South Africa has, in fact, selected Hollywood as their next matchup.
Yeah, and I gotta like that Vega. Vega's always kind of a question mark to me. I'm always a little bit curious what they're going to be playing because we've seen a lot of flexibility come out from them. But in that situation, are we going to be seeing them on the McCree? Are we going to be seeing them on the Reaper? Are we going to be seeing them on the Genji that we saw them on in Havana? I really couldn't say. I don't know maybe necessarily if we'll be seeing Doomfist on first point, but that means we might be seeing Pharah.
I would certainly love to see some Pharah. Again, we seem to be going to maps that really favor the Pharah and the, especially the Doomfist kind of play. So if either team was to bring it out, I think that would be a solid pick indeed. And as we get started here, it is once again going to be Bulgaria setting up on defense first, with South Africa going to have to make the first push.
Yeah, and South Africa kind of in the hot seat. They want to take this away, at least go to that tiebreaker map. Make the differential as friendly towards them as possible, although they definitely still want to be walking away with the W. Always a good look to be one of the higher scoring or higher winning teams in your bracket. So that's going to be their goal here, and I hope their team comp's going to be reflective of those goals.
Yeah,
Yes, South Africa absolutely has their work cut out for them here. So let's see what they come out with. But for Bulgaria, now for Bulgaria, I can anticipate a Sombra here. I actually am not sure if you want to play the May in favor of some additional damage. It's a tricky choice.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think there's kind of a little bit of a mentality that needs to be played here. 20 at initial, going to be hopping onto that Sombra, perhaps just doing a little bit of scouting. As we see, Sombra at the beginning of maps always tend to do a little bit of scouting, rather. Whether they stick onto it or not, I think it's going to depend on what they see. But if they do the scouting, they will see that Buck going to be on that Pharah. Not a lot of surprise there. It seems like either Doomfist or Pharah for this player. And, you know, it's been serviceable for them, very serviceable, I'd say, for them so far. So, can't really argue with it.
Definitely can't. And yes, as expected, Bulgaria bringing Vega out on the McCree. Buck, of course, on a Pharah. Wondering if we'll see some Doomfist on the Streets phase, though. Pharah is, again, quite useful on all phases of Hollywood except the very, very end. So here comes 20, ripping out there with the Sombra, going right back to spawn. Yeah, they're going to grab a McCree of their own.
It's actually going to be the Widow, or, well, they're still in the selection phase, so it's going to be sticking with the McCree, perhaps to deal with that Pharah, well, almost certainly to deal with that Pharah. But they are still going to be running those double barriers, and, you know, that Sigma, really good at trying to mitigate a lot of the damage from that Pharah, but we're going to have to see how effective Centicall is going to be at performing that task.
Yeah, 20 immediately takes the high ground, takes a rocket to the face, and Vega picks up the final blow there. So it is going to be a man-down push already for South Africa, and it looks like they're going to be chased out of there on a bit of a reset. Sigma's shield covering the retreat.
Yeah, and Buck doing so well right now, already halfway to a rocket barrage, when most of the rest of the server is, you know, pretty meager in their ult charge, visions notwithstanding. As we've said, that Warrior building up so much coalescence charge so quickly, almost as fast as that Pharah. And with that being said, they really need to be cautious of the angles they're taking, the side of South Africa, that is, if they want to make sure that they can kind of get rotated onto point.
Yep, speaking of getting rotated on the point, a concussive blast from Buck pushes them a little out of alignment. No kills coming in from Bulgaria yet, but now that 20's set up in the back row there's no one really to contest them, so Buck has to contend with them exclusively. A big direct hit onto most of the team, though. That's going to put the barrage online as Coalescence comes out from Visions.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing that Coalescence come out, but it still doesn't look like it motivates South Africa to get as aggressive as they should be. 20 taking down Buck might be the turnaround, though.
Yeah, starting out with the barrage there, that's Buck at res and immediately goes to work, helping clean up South Africa from the point, and we're still looking at a truckload of ults from Bulgaria, whereas 20 looks like they're going to be close to the Deadeye, but otherwise not a lot to show for that push.
Yeah, absolutely. That push was perhaps not performed as well as you might have liked. Centicall going to be making the call to switch onto the Diva, and you know, I think I really would have liked to see a little bit more aggression come out from South Africa when that Coalescence hit. If you can overwhelm the ground forces of a Pharah-based team, the Pharah's not going to be so capable to handle you all by herself. So I think that the potential there was really strong, but it just wasn't quite able to be performed by South Africa.
Yeah, meanwhile, oh, there it is. Leica Luke finds the early kill onto Vega, so now it's South Africa's turn to keep this one going. Leica Luke popping off. Icicles have magnets attached to the heads of the enemy Bulgaria team, and it is just not looking good for them, who have also just been set up with a nice little fuse there. Excisors goes down, and now it's time for Buck to try and pull something out. It's not going to happen. South Africa finally settling in on the point.
Yeah, Leica Luke deciding that their McCree not quite doing enough against the Pharah, deciding to take the reins themselves. Vision's going to be having a Coalescence. Both teams, or excuse me, both supports for this team going to be having their ults online on the side of South Africa. The Sound Barrier and Coalescence keep everybody up, but Vega with that high noon, a lot of high ground potential on the second point of the Streets phase of Hollywood, meaning that they can catch a lot of angles off if South Africa is not super vigilant about that McCree.
Yeah, now 20 also, by the way. So they're going to have their work already cut out for them as Buck not only has the barrage, but is just itching to use it. And it looks like they're coming in on the back line per the usual. And there it is. The Halt pulls them in. The barrage is down. And that's a 3K for Buck.
Yeah, Buck going to be using that rocket barrage, preventing that momentum from getting built up in the first place from South Africa. And, you know, I don't know if they were just planning on using the rocket barrage anyway. They needed to use the supercharger, but they already committed it. It's already gone into the drink. So Vega and Fapalel going to be the only ones with any ults still online on their squad side. But we still do have the support ults online for Squishy and Visions.
And it looks like they might not even need to use them. Visions having already popped out the Coalescence 20, finding the head of a definitely unrestable Buck. So Fabele is going to be pulling out that Sigma ult, not really going to get any kills. Damage is looking a little bit solid, a little bit lacking rather from Bulgaria. As a high noon goes off in the backline from Vega, that is also not going to result in any kills. Difficult now, South Africa looking very good on this push.
Yeah, 20 really trying to get these angles with the Widowmaker, not quite able to find the purchase that they need to. It took them quite a while to even line up these sight lines, and you need to be a little bit quicker on adjustments with like that. If you're on that Widow, you need to be getting that value as quickly as possible and as effectively as possible. It just didn't come through this time around, but it looks like they might still be trying to keep with it. Nope, in fact, the swap going to be coming onto the McCree. Maybe they understand as well that they're taking a little bit too long, but Hanzo also good at making those adjustments, which 20 now might be settling into.
All right, let's see if the tree trunk arrows can have a better shot at dislodging what is now Buck from the Doomfist, who of course is already on the way to his seismic slam. And the halt's coming in crazy, and yeah, Buck gonna have pretty much the run of the place. Gets his meteor strike, gonna be dropping that right into the bot back line. And it's, while he was gone though, looks like South Africa is lighting up. Tanks from Bulgaria down. Yoshio gets the res onto Boger, but there's no way South Africa stops here.
Yeah, Buck in a rare moment, not finding any purchase with his abilities, almost taking down Visions, but that Moira going to be left with less than 25 HP, just staying up long enough to keep the rest of the team alive as they collapse onto the front line of the side of Bulgaria. And right now, Bulgaria is going to have time for another contest, but they don't have a lot of ults to work with.
Right, Yoshio switches off the Mercy to get onto the Lucio. Definitely a solid switch, but you're not going to have a lot of time to build up to those barriers. Fabelele really the only one to bring an ultimate to bear in this next fight unless Excisors really gets to work on that Moira. Meanwhile, despite the bongos, Vega finds the head of Lycaluke, so no Mei for this fight, and that means no generation towards that Blizzard either. Trades back and forth, but Cart Crescent's still going to be favoring the South African side right now.
Yeah, however, Respawn going to be favoring Bulgaria. It's going to have to be South Africa getting kills at a decent rate, and Papel going to get killed before the Gravitic Flux can go through. That's pretty good.
Yeah, Squishy goes nuts on the Lucio, and that's going to be tons of kills. Boger finds Visions, though. Sentagal, however, they're going to be robbing their last fight. Vega switches onto a Tracer, finds Squishy already. The bongos are now down. This could be an interesting hold now from Bulgaria, but they have to stay on the cart.
Yeah, South Africa not going to have much manpower there as the Hanzo gets cleaned up. Will they even have time to get overtime? No.
I am flabbergasted. I thought South Africa had that locked up in Bulgaria. The sheer tenacity.
Loving the switch coming out from Vega, getting on just back in the nick of time.
Yeah, absolutely. There was still quite a good amount of cart push, a little bit farther than I would have expected the first time around, given the first few pushes into Streets phase were not looking the strongest for South Africa, but now they're going to have the opportunity to show Bulgaria how it's done. There is always the option to have a first point hold, or, you know, one of those holds at Streets phase like they almost had performed upon themselves. So I think that the potential is still very much so there for South Africa.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The victory box might be very well along the way to point B, but there's a lot of potential to do a full point hold, as Sir Waltham mentioned, on point A. So is South Africa up to the task? Survey says probably, but I don't think it's going to happen with a Bastion. I think we've seen pretty clearly that that's not the way to do a full hold in this particular meta.
Yeah, it's going to be really kind of tough to have that Bastion zone in, especially if you go heavy on the shielding. Going to be a lot of opportunities for rotations. So we are going to be popping in, checking out what the defensive side of South Africa is going to be running. And it looks like they're going to be keeping 20 on that Hanzo, not opting for the hit scan player this time around. And, you know, 20, I think, did pretty well on that Hanzo when we saw them earlier in the match.
Yeah, definitely 20's Hanzo play is to be feared indeed. What I'm also super excited about is Squishy back on that Zenyatta. That did really well for them on Havana. For a period of time, they were just popping off left and right, doing some sick orb throwing. But will the balls be enough to stop Bulgaria from ripping onto this point? Now, Vega, okay, no Genji, it's actually a McCree.
Yeah, the McCree, not sure what the strategy is here with the McCree, perhaps trying to just get a little bit of mid-range, get the fight a little bit more brawly style. And the Hanzo by 20 really trying to keep these guys free of those rockets. Not quite going to be finding much effect, but it doesn't matter when the Orisa gets burned down like that.
Yeah, 20 tries to, rather Vega tries to take a sneaky flank with the McCree on the left side, but having left the protectiveness of the shields, there is no way that they were going to survive that long, and yes, it's 20 who finds their head, and they are going to be switching on to a Hanzo of their own. Possibly they were expecting a Pharah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the pick of the McCree makes sense if they were planning on running a Pharah. And already we can see South Africa trying to play a little bit more cautiously around Buck's Pharah. Buck not building up nearly as much ult as we've seen in the past maps.
And I do think that's the correct choice. That barrage could open this, could completely destroy this point based on how they're setting up. And there it is, though. The barrage is ready. The Immortality Matrix has been committed, but Buck goes down to Visions.
Yeah, and they're going to have to invest the res from Yoshio in that corner that is such an uncomfortable corner, but it's going to pay off for him.
What the hell was that? That was unbelievable. I love it. The efficaciousness of Boger's halt plus the power of a Buck barrage. Fantastic use of your cooldowns.
Yeah, that was... This team, Bulgaria, it seems so communicative in getting the halt barrage combos down pat. They are, looking so stellar on that. 20 actually going to be switching off to the Widow. That's a bit peculiar. I think they were doing just fine on the Hanzo, but maybe they just want to lock in with that long range hit scan as opposed to having to beat the shots. And now we're seeing Vega do a little bit of contest up onto the high ground with 20. A little bit of a sniper v sniper battle, the hit scan versus the projectile play. Meanwhile, on the cart, it's just a little bit of a shield battle, but no stall coming from South Africa.
Now, back in the day, you would say that Hanzo won that fight easy, which I would agree that's still technically the case, but that's only because Buck was there to make it happen. Now, the Sigma ult does come out from Sentikal. That's not going to grab any kills, and unfortunately, because it is already not looking good for South Africa, who are losing heroes left and right.
Yeah, especially dropping the Transcendence is a little bit questionable. Maybe they're looking to swap off of the Robotic Monk after this, but really, if not, you're just giving up an ult that you basically really would have rather kept. And see, now 20 switching back onto the Hanzo is just a lot of given up ult charge going between snipers. I don't necessarily know if I agree. I don't think we've seen an ult come out from 20 yet.
No, we have not. Or rather, they've been barraged into oblivion, too late to use it. And there it is, the Dragon's going to be shutting off that choke. That's more cart progress for Bulgaria, and a little more time to build up some of that ult charge, because South Africa is going to be coming in with quite a bunch of...
Yeah, absolutely. And the Gravitic, or the shielding going to be cutting through most rapidly, preventing the Blizzard from coming through. That's huge.
It's a team wipe. A total team kill. The gong sounds. That's it, everyone. Bulgaria takes Hollywood on the backs of some incredible plays coming out from not only the Sigma, but of course, the favorite barraging monk.
Yeah, Bulgaria looking so good in that last team fight. A major shout out to Fapel getting that eat onto the Blizzard, preventing the lockdown from coming through. That might have opened things up for South Africa, but in the end, not going to matter. South Africa really taking this one, Bulgaria really taking this one away, largely off the back of some big barrages from Buck.
So my super new favorite thing ever is that Yoshio, the Mercy, is actually the one to get play of the game credit for that 4K that Buck pulled off because they got the res. It's so nice to see his support get called out like that.
Mercy says your life is now mine. Buck is more than happy to oblige with that massive kill. And man, I think that Team Bulgaria are going to be feeling pretty happy about that. South Africa hopefully realize some things that they can work on moving forward, as we do now settle in with the score being Bulgaria 3, South Africa 1.
And a fantastic showing from both teams. As we stated from the very first map, we got to see these teams highly skilled Overwatch from both sides. I really, really loved watching them go at it. Bulgaria comes out with on the top this time, but this grouping is filled with tough opponents. And South Africa's journey is not over yet, and not even over for today.
Yeah, it looks like they will be having a few more games to go. Or one more game to go, maybe. But with that being said, we are going to be wrapping up the production for this game of Bulgaria versus South Africa one more time. Don't forget, and if you're interested in supporting any of these teams, we do have a merch store available. Will be posted in the Twitch chat for your clicking pleasure.
And thank you very much for joining us again. This has been 3.007. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter at 3.007.
And likewise, I've been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter, this time at Sir Waltham. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody, on behalf of Monkey Bubble. We hope you guys have a great evening and stay safe out there.